do in this last class, we'll fill this form after the class ends, is we're looking at the evaluation or the conclusion section of the answer. Yes? We've looked at all the parts of the answer over the last 6 days, and now we're looking at the last part. So again, the first page is from OWL, and it gives you certain things which I think I want us to disagree with and not use in our understanding of the evaluation. It starts by saying, it is important to have a strong conclusion. That's true. It is important to have a strong conclusion. Please underline that. Since this is the last chance, you have to make an impression on your examiner. Very true. Make an impression. Please underline that phrase. We want to make an impression on the examiner. The goal of your conclusion is not to or isn't to introduce any new ideas. That's not true. Cancel it out. It is. You are introducing new ideas, which is the implications of your argument. But to sum up everything, cancel that. It's not true. You are not summing up everything. You don't have the time nor the space to sum up everything. Specifically, your conclusion should accomplish 3 major goals. 1, restate the main idea of your essay. No. Or your thesis statement. No. Cancel that. It's not true. You don't have to do that. In fact, you'll be wasting words if you do that. 2nd, summarize the 3 subpoints. No. First of all, you may not have 3. You may have 10 subpoints, which are paragraphs. You do not summarize them. You're wasting a lot of words if you're summarizing those paragraphs. So wrong. 3rd, leave the reader with an interesting final impression. Yes, that was the point we do believe in. We do have to leave an impression. The next stuff is just a paragraph. It's a silly paragraph. We'll ignore it completely. Down to this next paragraph after that, which is, notice that the first sentence restates. No, we don't want to restate. 2nd and 3rd, summarize. No, we don't want to summarize. And finally, the 4th sentence leaves the reader with an interesting final impression. We'll underline only interesting final impression. That's what we're interested in. We're not interested in the rest. No new information. That's not true. Information is new, except that it's not evidence-based information. It is implication-based information. Instead, the writer sums up what has been. No, the writer does not sum up. Last thought. Let's underline last thought. We are leaving the reader with a last thought. Now, what is this last thought? The paragraph is similar to the introduction, they say, but it's not exactly the same. This is important. Even though the goal of the conclusion is to restate a lot of the information, that's not true. Cancel, restate a lot of the information. It should sound different because the conclusion's purpose is slightly different. Please mark that. The conclusion's purpose is different. So what is the conclusion's purpose? As I said, turn the page. This is what the conclusion's purpose is. What we have said from the start. That is quite the opposite of what OWL says on the previous page. The evaluation section does not merely repeat or summarize the arguments. Instead, it answers the question, so what? Please underline, so what? That is, if you are saying this, what are you saying? What is the therefore of your answer, right? That is what you're doing in the evaluation section in 1 or 2 paragraphs, depending on the depth and the length and the scope of your question. You retain a focus on the question, yes, please underline that. You retain a focus on the question. But you are now looking at the implications, underline the word implications of your arguments. Remember, you have only 1000 to 1200 words, and repeating your points eats up words and is not an effective use of words. OWL is right about leaving a strong impression, underline strong impression, on the reader examiner, but that is done by addressing the thesis, please mark that, in the light of the evidence, please mark that, in terms of the implications, underline that twice, in terms of the implications of what you are saying. You have taken a position, and now you are wrapping up why it is the better or best position. Yes. So let's see this in practice. Let's take a UPSC question again from the general essay series. Can someone share their bank with me? Give me a random question. That's the great Venkata Mohan's book. And we will take the question BPO boom in India. Please take it down. BPO boom in India. Now, as you can see from this question, it's not giving you a very clear thesis, but it nevertheless demands a thesis, right? So either you are pro BPO or you are anti BPO. It's very clear that that's what they want in terms of an answer. Are you pro this boom or are you against this boom? So first you take a position, then in your head you can do a clustering exercise. You can do it on paper as well now if you want it, if that helps you organize your thoughts. But what we are looking for right now is just an evaluation, a paragraph or two, maximum 1 or 2 paragraphs, where you are now giving us the implications of your argument. So you can make a clustering exercise if that helps you, but really what we are looking for is a evaluation or conclusion paragraph or 2 on the BPO boom in India. Okay? So, what are we looking for again? To repeat, implications. So what? If you have taken this position on BPO boom, so what? Now, what are you saying? What in the end is your position on the BPO boom? And implications of that. Therefore, what? Therefore, you think that the BPO boom is a terrible thing to have happened in India, or therefore you think it's an excellent thing, and why? In one powerful wrap-up statement that will reiterate for the examiner your entire answer, but in a different set of words, which is wrapping up the whole answer, not repeating the points. You're not repeating any points. You're not listing, for example, which is why I'm against listing in the thesis also. Lists are not useful because they are looking here in the general essay for your thinking capacity, not your level of knowledge in terms of number of points. In any case, the number of points itself, if we start listing the points, will cover 1200 words. That's not what they're looking for. They are looking for how your brain is working. Is it working? Are you taking a position? Do you have a clear sense of why you've taken this position? Do you have a clear sense of what are the implications of your position? So it's not information. That's why I'm against lists in thesis. I'm against lists in final paragraphs. You don't repeat at all, firstly. But secondly, you don't even make a list because the examiner is not stupid. He or she has read your paragraphs. Why does he or she need you again to repeat all the same points you have already made? That person is not stupid, and the span of attention of a person does not die after 1000 words. It doesn't. He or she knows exactly what you've written. But now, you're wrapping it up to say, therefore, this is the best position to have and this is my position. Here's why. So, write this paragraph. You have 10 minutes. So, first take a position on the BPO boom. If you want to do a clustering exercise, do it. That's not a problem. But just imagine that you have already written the essay. Now you're writing the last bit. What will you say to make a powerful point about the implications of your argument? Let's do a clustering exercise. Maybe it will help you. So put a circle in the middle of the page, BPO boom. Circle in the middle of the page, BPO boom, B-O-O-M. So what are the things that come to your mind when you think of BPO boom? Come on, start. Tell me.
Globalization.
So, employment.
Forex reasons.
Globalization, yes, because these are foreign companies, yes. So, globalization. Third, what did you say?
Forex reserves.
Forex resources.
Reserves.
Forex reserves. How is it contributing?
Service sector contribution. Service sector. Economy.
Yeah, but not in terms of forex. Why is it forex? Yeah,
they will be dollaring the funds from foreign countries.
Yeah, but they will be dispersing the funds in rupees, not in forex.
Contributing to service sector of economics.
Service sector, well, yeah, contribution to, but that's okay. You can do it separately from employment. So say service sector.
On-site jobs.
Service sector first. On-site is how is this relevant? Whether it's on-site or off-site?
People will go to the
No, they never go. They do it from here. BPO boom in India. They're not asking for BPO boom in Japan. Yes? So they're sitting here and doing it. What else?
Improve communication skills of students.
So communication skills. So all of you are pro BPO. Anybody anti BPO? To give us all points. Then a clustering exercise should have all the points. And then we choose. Unless you've already had your thesis, I mean, either you make 2 different clustering exercises, one pro and one anti, or we combine both. What do you want to do? Make a separate one for anti. So make a separate one for anti. Again, BPO boom in the middle. And arrows. So for example, I am completely anti-BPO. So my point would be exploitation of labor, cheap labor. You're exploiting cheap labor. You are not paying what you would be paying a white person. You are paying half of what to the Indian. So exploitation of labor is one for me. Second, biological clock. You're completely disrupting the biological clock of young people because they are working all night in BPOs because America is having a day when we are having a night. Right? So biological clock, lifestyle changes.
And in terms of this, there's no proper growth, like earlier it was like agriculture, manufacturing, then service.
Yeah, where's the growth in this industry? You're servicing clients all day and all night. So it's basically an underuse of skilled labor. So growth, no possibilities of growth. Low or no possibilities of growth in the BPO. Ultimately, what you are is the back-end room of an American company. So doing the dirty work of American companies, that's what BPOs are. You're happy to be slaves, then that's great. Then you love the boom. What else? Coming back to pro BPO, what else can we say? Come on, you have to be able to think of answers, you have to be able to... Westernization, okay, I don't like this reason, but let's put it down. Modernization, we're already modern, thank you very much. We're not living in the 18th century. So Westernization.
Showcasing India's capability in global arena.
How?
So India is
by being back-end labor.
India is home for BPO.
But how is it showcasing? It's not showcasing, it's just saying this is a cheap venue to get cheap labor. It's not showcasing anything. You're working for an American company. They are showcasing that they have results and they have great industrial force. Answering your questions about washing machines. It's not showcasing anything. What else can we say in pro or an anti? Choose points from either. Startups. But BPOs are not linked to startups. How are they linked?
A lot of Indian startups will be coming who will be taking the on contract basis, who will be taking the contract of the BPO.
Are startups linked to BPO work?
As in Delhi and those areas. Suppose Samsung wanted BPO, but they don't want to invest directly. Some Indian company will come and will take the contract of that and they will start serving them.
Okay, put it down. Helping startups under pro. Helping startups. What else?
Neglecting productive employment.
That will come under anti. We'll put it there. Neglecting productive employment. You're producing basically sweatshop labor for the first world. You're not really building your workforce. You're not really exploiting the demographic dividend at all. You're just producing a bunch of back-end, backdoor labor for American companies.
Increasing rural-urban divide. Is it concentrating in urban areas?
Okay, kind of low on the pyramid, on the inverted pyramid, but let's put it down. Increasing the rural-urban divide, although on the opposite side it would be argued that a lot of people who are coming from rural areas are then getting employed in BPOs.
Even BPOs are shifting also.
Yeah. But anyway, let's put it down. It's largely still urban, that's true.
Giving job to the low skills people.
That's we've already said, generating employment. And not necessarily low skill, they do still need to have a graduation degree usually. So it's not low skilled, but it's generating employment for sure. Then, anything else? Anyway, that's enough on both sides. Now come up with your paragraph. Come on. Choose your side and come up with your evaluation paragraph. Strong, remember, I want it strong. What are we doing? We're trying to create a final good impression on the examiner. We have given 4 or 5 reasons. Now it's the whiplash. We are going to give the strongest last paragraph that why BPOs are great or why BPOs are horrible. Come on. They want a position. They want a thinking person. Stop being these timid, tepid people who think I can't piss off the government, I can't do this, I can't be critical, I need to be happy clappy bunny doing a sales job for the question, I need to be positive, I need to give policy solutions. No, none of that is relevant. You are just taking a position on the BPO boom. Was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? That's it. Come on, last paragraph. Powerful, strong, concluding paragraph. I've asked you many times to use a notebook. Yes? So many points you have already. Choose your last paragraph. Remember, you're not repeating the points. You're not summarizing them. You are giving the implication. So, therefore, so what? Therefore, if I love BPOs and I think BPO boom is great, so what? What am I saying? Therefore.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us your paragraph. First of all, what position have you taken?
Negative.
Negative. You are against this BPO boom. Okay.
BPOs are forced to implement modern day colonization to express available demographic due to the transition pathway and growth. BPO employees will be working for the counterparts without any growth in terms of skills and monetary terms. It needs a generation to lifestyle from diseases.
Okay. So what do you think of this paragraph? Responses? Anybody remember what we want from an evaluation paragraph? Okay. How is this paragraph? How would you rate it out of 10? And why? Come on, you need to think. You need to help him also to get a better paragraph. That was the point of this collective workshop exercise, and that's what the point of the test series we're doing over the next several months will also follow. The principle of helping us all to get much better and stronger answers. So I, for example, like his first line very much. It's a strong, solid line. But then his paragraph starts going downhill for me because he starts repeating his points. He said we are not repeating the arguments. He starts repeating the arguments. And his last line, which is meant to be the whiplash on the face of the examiner, is super weak. It's just saying we have some health problems. This is not a good way to end an answer at all. So I want a much stronger third line. His first line actually could be his last line, which is a very powerful line. Can you read your first line?
BPOs are tools to implement modern day colonization to exploit the available demographic during the transition.
That's a good last line. Especially the point about modern day colonization. Now this is what I call a global point, where under modern day colonization you can make so many points that we have already made anti-video. That this is just a way of America, the new imperialist, colonizing third world countries by saying, okay, here it's the same old argument like colonial labor. This is cheap labor, let's exploit it. They need the job. They're stupid third world people. We can't afford to pay our own American labor so much because our American labor will demand minimum wage. It will demand certain things, health benefits, this, that, many things. These idiots, they are desperate for money, they're desperate for jobs, they don't have anything, you give it to them. And that's really the overarching argument, and he's got it in his first line, which could be his last line. But now we still have to give him two other lines. I don't like both his other sentences. His second sentence is repeating points. Please read it to us again.
Working for the counterparts without any problem.
Repeating a point, then
Generation of youth to lifestyle.
repeating a point. No, second sentence. You're reading the third sentence. I want the second sentence.
Counterparts without any proper work in terms of skills and management.
So this is repeating points of me. I want this line removed. What will we replace it with? We can replace it with something like, while it seemed like LPG was a boon, right? Remember, this is the word they have used is boom. So while it seemed that this boom was a boon to the Indian economy, was generating so much employment, what kind of employment has not been asked? That can be his second line, which is that this kind of employment is not really going to help growth of Indian young people, right? So second line can be something like, while this boom seemed like a boon, B-O-O-N, boon is a blessing. While this boom seemed like a boon, comma, it actually does not help in the growth of, the growth and development of Indian labor. and then I want a powerful first line. So we've used his first line as this last line, especially the colonization point, which is super powerful. We're using the second line as the first line, and now we need a second line. And the second line can be, what can we use? As again, we want a kind of a overarching argument about implications of this. So if, look at our negative points about BPOs, right? You're exploiting labor, you are creating health problems, you are underutilizing labor, which we have already mentioned in the first
The
sentence.
second point would be a transition.
Not point, we don't want a point, we
like
want a
the
sentence.
sentence.
Okay, yeah.
Transition from agriculture to the service sector led by BPO boom neglected the manufacturing sector in the process, which is still struggling to grow.
Yes, and also neglected agriculture.
And
So it actually not struggling, it's stymied, or it arrested, or it paralyzed. So put it like that, you have to put it powerfully. So there's too many words in your sentence, let's make it more powerful. So what he's saying is, did everyone understand the point that he's making? He's saying that the focus on the service sector actually limited the manufacturing sector. But I'm saying it also limited the agricultural sector, because the focus is only on cities, and Chidambaram wants 85% to be in the cities, right, of the Indian population. So, how will we put his point in the most powerful possible sentence? That the BPO focus on the service sector, and we want to use a powerful word. So I used two words. You can use in any other word, but it has to be a powerful word. I used stymied, S-T-Y-M-I-E-D, which means to cramp or to paralyze. And I used paralyzed, or stymied or paralyzed the manufacturing sector and the agricultural sector, which inhibits real economic growth. Which inhibits INHIBTS, real economic growth. Right? That's a good second sentence. And now we have his last sentence, which is powerful. In fact, you can even drop the second half of that sentence, because you started out by modern day colonization, and then you added a last bit, which was what? In your first sentence?
Exploitation, valuable demographic.
Yeah, that you can retain the whole sentence. So that's the third sentence. This is a powerful paragraph. This is an evaluation paragraph. Do you get it? Right? So implications of the argument, in the most powerful way, you're whiplashing the answer into shape. Yes? This is an evaluation. One more, we have time. One more question. Let's take a question from the bank. That's syllabus again. Okay. This is similar to the diagnostic one I gave you, except that it's not focusing on tribal areas. 2006, it says, protection of ecology and environment is essential for sustained economic development. No, but we won't take that down. I'm just pointing it out that it's similar to the diagnostic we gave you. Let's take an abstract one, which is really silly. UPSC is full of such abstract and silly questions, right? What did we attempt then? Like, which one do you prefer of these two deeply stupid questions? What is real education? That's the question. And the second one is the pursuit of excellence. There's a third stupid one, just in case you think there are no shortage of them. Just in case you think there are a shortage of them. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. Which one of the three do you want? Third one? Because it's the stupidest? Okay, let's take it down. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. Clustering exercise. 2 circles in the middle of the page. Joy and gratitude. I want a proper page. I want to have a proper page. Someone give him a page, please. He's pageless. No, that also has text in there. Okay, I can use the back of that. Okay, two balls in the center, 2 circles in the center, joy and gratitude. No, not needed. Joy and gratitude. No. 2 separate circles. What are you listening to? So, under joy, what is joy? Let's look at joy. Joy is happiness. Joy is smiling. You smile when you're joyful. Joy is What else? What else do we think of when you think of the word joy? Satisfaction. Let's move to gratitude. Gratitude is thanksgiving. Feeling of feeling of just the meaning of the word gratitude. No one is talking about giving it back. Just because you're grateful doesn't mean you want to give it back. That's a different point. Feeling of indebtedness. You feel indebted because you feel grateful. Like he has done something for me. I feel grateful to him. Means I feel indebted to him. INDEBTED. Indebtedness. What else? Under gratitude. Feeling indebted. Thanksgiving, indebtedness. What else do we think of when we think of gratitude? No, obedience has nothing to do with gratitude. Obedience is about being a slave. No. What else do we think of gratitude? So now we have these two abstract words. What do we do with this question? We have to make it into a question that we can answer about, right? So for example, I remember when I talked about this question to you earlier, or I might have talked about it to other groups, I don't know. I said that I would actually interpret this question as a question about philanthropy and the state, in the sense that I would say that the state ought to give benefits to all its citizens, and seeing the citizens happy is reason enough. Seeing them joyful is reason enough. You don't need gratitude from the citizens, because you're not doing the citizens a favor. You're actually doing your duty as a country, and therefore seeing the joy on their faces is good enough. It's the simplest form of gratitude. This is my one interpretation. There are any kind of number of interpretations you can make. So let's take down my interpretation, which is joy as the happiness on the faces of citizens. Joy as the happiness on the faces of citizens when they are looked after. For which the state needs no gratitude, no more gratitude. For which the state needs no more gratitude. Then you can make another interpretation where you say, remember we did that question about private dole versus lending a hand, right? So you can repeat it as the private sector, that the private sector should also just give, because it makes so much money, it should just support the poor without any demands of anything in return, because just seeing the poor happy or joyful should be enough gratitude for them. So second question is about, second interpretation about private sector, that the private sector should not make any demands on what help it offers. Like, you don't have to pay back the loans, you don't have to do something for them all the time, or you have to be indebted to them. Shouldn't it be like that? Instead, they're asking for money back, they're only giving short-term help, which is based on interest-based loans and so on. They should not. Because we are saying that just helping should be gratitude enough for them. Why? After all, they're all helping Indian citizens. They're also Indian. They claim to love India. Every second corporation claims to love India. So if they really love India, the joy on the faces of the poor should be enough. Why do they need any other form of gratitude or returns? Why do they need returns? We can interpret gratitude as returns and say they don't need returns, they just need to see joy on the faces of the citizens. These are two interpretations. What about any other? Anyone can come up with any interpretation? You can write a purely conceptual answer to this question, a purely philosophical answer, where you're just saying that when we do something good for someone, we should not expect gratitude. Just seeing the person happy, seeing the person joyful should be good enough for us. We should not seek gratitude. Gratitude, in any case, should not be something asked for. Either you feel it or you don't feel it. That's a purely philosophical answer. We'll avoid purely philosophical answers because it's very tough to build the data for those answers unless you are trained in philosophy. So we shall drop the philosophical interpretation, but that's one possible interpretation. Yes, you were saying something?
I'm saying for the examples we need to work on.
Yes, you need to then work on examples to show, and you can use any examples to show the joy on a person's face, like you help someone on the road. And just that person being happy that you helped them is good enough. You don't need that person to say thank you. You don't need gratitude. You need to just help that person because you're so happy to see that person happy. That's the best form of gratitude. That's what the question is saying. Right? The joy is the best form of gratitude. So that's the third interpretation. If you want to, yes. To say what? So that's again that's more like a theological Hindu interpretation of the question. That's possible. You can use various philosophical concepts from within Hinduism, within Buddhism, within many religious ideologies. Now, within Islam calls for charity without any acceptance of anything. In fact, Islam doesn't tolerate things like taxes and interest rates and all. They are completely against that because the religion doesn't believe in that. So therefore, my point about philanthropy, which would be another interpretation, which is philanthropy versus altruism, really. Altruism is when you are helping someone without expectation of anything. That is itself an experience of joy within. Forget what the other person feels. Many people argue that you help someone because actually it fills you with joy. So what the other person feels, what the other person gives you back, everything is not relevant. It's just you are filled with joy at the idea of helping. Therefore you don't, it's the simplest form of gratitude to the idea that you are alive, or gratitude to the world. Your service to the world is to help somebody else and not to expect anything. That's the joy within you. There are many ways to interpret this. So you choose one way to interpret this and just write a last paragraph again. Come on. Last paragraph on this answer, depending on whatever interpretation you choose. You can also choose your own interpretation. We've just given you 2-3 examples. For example, you choose your own. For this highly abstract and rather strange question called joy is the simplest form of gratitude. What were the other two? They were equally observed. If you find them easier, you can. If you find them easier, you can use them. What is real education? You can answer that as the last paragraph. If this quote is too silly for you. And second, the pursuit of excellence. Whatever you want to say about that. So any one of these three. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude, the pursuit of excellence, and what is real education? That's a better question to attempt actually. At least it has a set of possibilities in terms of material. You can, for example, argue that real education doesn't happen in the classroom, doesn't happen in universities, happens in life, happens in different contexts, all kinds of things. But let's just stick to this difficult question and see what we can do with it. Yes, last paragraph, anybody? Any brave person attempting this last paragraph? In some sense, the last paragraph is really easy because what you're really saying is you're taking that thesis, which is joy is the simplest form of gratitude, and you're just expanding that, explaining that it is or that it is not and why. So that's all you're doing. You don't have to worry about your evidence for the moment. Just what are you going to say about why it is the simplest form or why it is not the simplest form. Write me an abstract sentence or two about that. Let me try one as well. Yes, anybody has tried? Have you? Yes.
What is real education?
Oh, not joy. Okay, what is real education? What is your last paragraph?
Real education is all about inculcating morals and values in the growth of the personality, and it is vital for socialization and inculturation, irrespective of either it is formal or informal. And it is real when one can attain or reap its benefits in the society in their days.
In
in later days.
Later days. So again, I like the last line. The first two seem to be repeating points. We don't want to repeat points. Remember, the paragraph is not about repeating points. It's simply about wrapping it up. So here's my paragraph about joy. Okay? I say, joy is the simplest form of gratitude because the spontaneous pleasure and satisfaction one derives from seeing someone joyful far exceeds the selfishness and greed involved in seeking any further evidence of gratitude. Giving people joy is its own reward and needs no gratitude. So I'm making a conceptual philosophical point that joy is the simplest one, and all my evidence is not repeated here in point form. He tends to repeat the evidence in point form in lines 1 and 2. Line 3 is good. Again, we can make line 3 into line 1. So let's start with that. So what is your first line? Your third line, sorry, now, which is now your first line.
It is real when one can.
So education is real. We won't say it. So you're opening the paragraph.
Education is real when one can attain or reap its benefits in the society in later days.
In society, we don't have the in society in later days. Now, let's try and extend this into the next two sentences. So then we say something like, not dependent on classrooms and degrees. Take it down, second sentence, not dependent on classrooms and degrees. Real education is about engaging with the self, comma, the other, is about engaging with the self, comma, the other, and the world through the teachings of experience. Second line, we need one more line. Not repeating points of the evidence section. What else can we add? A powerful last line is what we need. Like his first line, we need a powerful last line. First line and last line of the evaluation paragraph should be powerful. Wrapping it up and powerful. Can anyone give me a sentence?
Real education making person
More not higher, just education. Real education, yeah, okay, sorry. Real education
Real education making person
makes a person.
a good human.
Yeah, a good human being or an ethical human being. Let's put that down. It's not too bad a line. Yes, real education makes a person an ethical human being, an ethical and responsible human being. Okay. Now please fill the questionnaire. Put it in this green envelope before you leave. Detailed answers, please. Don't put your name on the sheet. We want detailed feedback to see whether the workshop has been working for you or not, and whether you want to continue the test series in the same format or go back to a classical test series where we just give you a test, you do the answers, we grade it and give it back to you, because we're trying to modify that. And so how we started the test series, for those of you who did attend one of the classes that happens every Friday, is that we give you the paper in the morning, we discuss all the answers in class, you write the paper in the afternoon, then you get one-to-one feedback and detailed feedback on your answers along these same lines. Okay, so please answer the questionnaire.